Yo, that intro's hard body.
Shit's hard, man. We talking about, you know what I mean? Reckless, nigga. So just let y'all know, my name is Hakeem Green, my partner.
Ron Lawrence.
Together
we are. And that's
are
the podcast.
otherwise known as Old School, New School Rules.
Rules.
That intro is the music bed, is the instrumental for a song Ron and I did called Reckless off the Aubrey album. No relationship to Drake, ain't about Drake. We don't mention Drake. We ain't dissing Drake. Aubrey's my middle name. That's why it's entitled Aubrey. And that joint is called Reckless. And that beat is super duper hard. Big shout out to the legendary producer, Ron Lawrence, for that gem right there. You know what I mean?
That's right, baby.
What's good, brother? This is episode 2 on our IG Live.
What's up? What's going on? What we got? What we got?
Well, before we get into it, let me give a shout out to Jamel Vita Ridgway, our producer, who's got our scheduled topic lineup on cue, and she'll be feeding us, and we'll be talking about it as I spark madism.
Yes, sir. You got it? You about to spark it? There you go.
So we're going to go right there, huh, Vita? So for you guys out there, if you haven't been paying attention, the shit has hit the fan. The shit has hit the proverbial fan. And all of our wildest Nazi nightmares are coming into life. And he told us that he was going to go after the immigrant community and that he was going to empower the stormtroopers, otherwise known as ICE, to go after quote-unquote illegal immigrants, the hardened criminals, the gang members, the drug dealers. And it seems as if there's a man who was legally in the United States. He's El Salvadorian, right? El Salvadorian. But he was here in the United States legally, and he got snatched up by ICE and sent to El Salvador in one of their notorious hard labor prison camps where torture is the focal point. So, I like to say, Ron, I've always said, especially since we saw him put the the South American immigrants in his first term, rounding them up, putting them in cages, separating babies from their mothers. When I saw that happen, I said, listen, if he'll do it to them, he'll do it to us. And what we do is we target, quote unquote, I don't want to say unwanted populations, but yeah, unwanted populations, undesirable populations who, aren't in the mainstream or don't have mainstream backing. And he tries what he's going to do on them first. And if we go for it, he knows how far he can go and he'll try to push a little further. Now, if you don't mind, I just want to give some background on the case. The man's name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. My Dominican wife is killing me on my whack Spanish accent. A Salvadoran national had been living legally in Maryland for over a decade under, quote unquote, withholding of removal status, granted in 2019 by an immigration judge due to risk of persecution by gangs in El Salvador. On March 15, 2025, ICE arrested and deported him to El Salvador's notorious CICOP prison alongside alleged gang members. The Trump administration later admitted this was an administrative error. Now that right there is very unique because you very rarely, if at all, hear Donald Trump admit to making mistakes. In this particular situation, he admitted that this was an administrative mistake, therefore should not have happened. And since all of this has taken place, we've had circuit court judges rule that Donald Trump administration must retrieve that man and have him back in the United States by midnight tonight. Well, Donald Trump pulled some strings, got the Supreme Court to block it, to delay it. So right now it's kind of up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen with this man who's in an El Salvadorian prison illegally, because he had legal status to be here. So him being placed in this situation is illegal and against the law. It's criminal as far as the government's concerned. So in a nutshell, that's what's going on. What do you think about that, brother?
Boring news. Not interested. We can move to the next topic.
Are you serious?
I mean, you know, it's just whatever. I don't.
Really?
It's just, huh?
Really?
It's boring. Yeah, that's just my opinion. I mean,
You
I
said-
get it. I know what's going on, but
It's boring?
it's boring news. Yeah.
No, that's not boring news. It might not be relevant to your life now, but like I said, my opinion.
Yeah, I just think I don't know. I don't know if the
If
people who are watching is gonna want to listen to what we're saying about it, but
Yeah, hell yeah.
they might just fall asleep.
No,
When they hear something else.
no, listen.
They may
If the-
say, you know what? If I want to hear this, I'll just turn on CNN. But yeah,
Well, I have a perspective. I have a viewpoint on it. You know, hip hop, the voice of the voiceless, speaking truth to power. If they'll do it to them, they'll do it
they'll
to
do
you.
it to us. Okay.
They'll do it to you. And if that doesn't immediately excite you to be on the lookout, if nothing else, then
I'm just saying, if I want to hear that, I'll just go to CNN. That's all. But anyway, next topic. What are we talking about?
Moving right along. Reciprocal tariffs. We're in the middle of a tariff war right now. Prices are climbing. Gas prices just jumped up 20, 30 cents in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
Egg prices haven't come down. Grocery prices are continuing to escalate. A lot of our products come from China. A lot of the automobiles, even American-made automobiles, parts come from China.
Mm-hmm.
So because of these tariffs, we're expecting to see prices climb on everything.
Yeah, prices will climb on everything. And what he's trying to do is he believes that if he does this, then the economy will get better. So we need to go through the worst before we could see something good. And if you can have these rest of these these countries bend to their knees, and then they fold and they come to us, things could be better. Okay. But the way I see it, it's like a catch-22 when it comes to this whole situation. Because when you raise these tariffs, right, his rich friends, they already know what's going on. This was already planned. Trump already knew before he went into office that he was going to do this. So when he first came into office, he sold the people. Before he got in office, he sold the public and said, "Hey, I'm going to bring the prices down, right? Eggs are high and this and that. We're going to bring everything down." The minute he got in, he did the opposite. But I saw a clip of Donald Trump speaking about tariffs years ago. Okay, he felt that the rest of the other countries were taking advantage, and so this was something that he always had in mind. But I think that the catch-22 to this is that if you raise the tariffs, what happens? The stock market goes down. So the people who knew that these tariffs were going to get raised, they immediately pulled the stocks. They knew that was going to happen. Okay, so when you pull the stocks, the stock market goes down, right? So to me, that's a good way for your rich friends to say, okay, the small stock market is down. Let's all come in there and let's clean house, because I can get this share at this price. I can get that share at that price. So it's almost like it's a setup,
No,
so they can,
It's not almost like it's a setup.
It's a setup. It is a setup. It's a setup for them so they can get rich, basically.
more rich, more rich.
More rich, richer than rich. Right. So it's like we're
Rich.
gonna crash the stock market and we're
Right.
gonna buy shit up. And then yes, it is gonna be better because we're gonna be richer than rich.
Right. And when we say, rich friends,
Mhm.
I like to be as specific as possible. Because I'm seeing a lot of rich white folks
Mhm.
saying that they're taking a killing right now. They're
Mhm.
lost a lot of money. I think the dude's name is David Portnoy. He owns Barstool, the podcasting platform. He does Gillian Wallow, Cam and
Mhm.
Mace have shows on their platform. He said he lost $20 million in 5 days because of this tariff war. And
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard on what's his name saying he lost $1 million. Vlad TV said he lost $1 million. But
yeah,
but Jeff Bezos, I heard, is pissed off too. I heard he's lost crazy money.
right. Elon is hurting. Actually, Elon made a comment contrary to Donald Trump's pro-tariff stance. Elon Musk is suggesting that the United States and Europe have free trade agreement in place. So there
Okay.
would be no tariffs on U.S. to European markets and vice versa. So basically, it looks like the tariff war Elon Musk is suggesting would be against South American nations, African nations, Asian nations, or nations of color. So
Yeah. See,
that's kind of like the underlying message in what Elon Musk is saying, that the white nations should unite and basically be at war with the darker nations.
and the
He didn't
Asians.
say
Yeah.
it's like
Now
white.
there's no tariffs on Russia.
There's
Now
he
what's up with that?
well well that lends itself to the theory that Donald Trump is a Russian asset, that he was
But
groomed by Russia to do
right.
exactly what it is he's doing.
Yeah, but also too, now if he side now he knew the Asians were going to side together. The ones that were allies. So his thing was okay, if I put tariffs on Russia, then I don't have any more allies. So I'm gonna need someone to partner up with. Let's say if we do go to war, at least I got Russia on my side, right?
I mean, I think we're looking at it differently. You're looking at it as if it's happenstance, and he's just reacting to, the nature of world politics. I'm suggesting that it's, part of a pre-planned, world war,
Hmm.
white nations versus dark nations.
Right.
Because when you say, we're not going to place tariffs on Russia, let's have free trade between Europe and the United States. Well, that leaves out Asian nations. When you look at Japan and China, they've always been historically bitter enemies,
Hmm.
not just militarily, but also financially, economic wise. They've always been at odds. They just recently made an economic pact, Japan and China, and that's like groundbreaking. So it's almost like,
And
nations
Korea, South Korea.
and South Korea. Thank you.
Yes.
I mean, that's like, you got three, Asian nations right there who historically don't get along, don't really rock with each other, saying, all right,
The Chinese connection.
oh shit, tell me about it, you know? So that's interesting, man. It's this whole tariff thing, you know, it's about it's war.
Yeah.
War starts with money. And when we start, raising tariff or placing tariffs on other nations, that's really gonna hurt their products entering into our country. We all know that the tariff ultimately is paid by us, the citizens. So, if you got a product over here that I can't afford, I'm not going to buy it. Or if there's a cheaper version, over here, I might lean myself to go over here and take my money, elsewhere. So it's gonna be interesting how this plays out. Just a little information on the tariffs. Trump announced aggressive reciprocal tariffs, including a 10% baseline tariff on all imports and higher target rates. 34% on China, 20% on the EU, 46% on Vietnam, 32% on Taiwan. This dude is placing tariffs on islands that don't even have a human population, Ron.
Mhm.
Nobody. He placed tariffs on islands that were volcanoes.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing, yo? Yo. What's on your mind, brother? You kind of out
Oh,
there.
I see. Mitch McConnell and these guys are against the. They aren't they like kind of teaming up against him as well?
Yeah, actually, there was
Mitch McConnell, a couple of Republicans is like
yeah,
gearing up with some
this
Democrats. Yeah,
no, these are Republicans.
so they're all Republicans.
Yeah,
Okay,
Mitch McConnell's Republican. Who's the other?
so they're trying to block him from passing some laws. Correct.
Paul Grassley.
Rand Paul too.
Yeah, Rand Paul too. Grassley,
Okay.
McConnell, the senator from Maine,
Mhm.
the senator from Alaska,
Mhm.
and a few others have banded together with the Democrats to pass legislation which would give Congress 28 hours to oversee and approve any executive order Donald Trump is looking to pass in regards to tariffs.
Right.
So that's big. That's huge. It's in terms of the fight against Donald Trump and the Trump administration. That's makes me a bit optimistic as to what could happen in terms of fighting back. So we'll see. Can you talk about why?
Well, you know what? Let them fight amongst each other. Let's just let the Republicans fight amongst each other. This is good. This is what needs. This is what needs to happen. There needs to be some kind of divide.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this.
Maybe they can probably go back to true Republican policies. Maybe you should have one half that's true Republican, and then you have another half that's radical.
Right.
It was just crazy and off the chain. Right now, Donald Trump is just doing what the hell he wants to do.
Yeah. So you have like the MAGA Republicans. They're like the radicals. They're like the wild out bunch.
Mhm.
And you'd have the more moderate conservatives who are in the tradition of Liz Cheney. And there's not really too many of those guys left.
Mhm.
Kinslinger, who's from New Orleans. I mean, he's from Louisiana, actually. Kinzinger, excuse me. He's the senator from Louisiana. He's a more traditional Republican conservative. Not Mitch McConnell, Romney, excuse me. Romney has been at odds with Donald Trump since the beginning. And
since Obama, yeah.
Yeah, he's a traditional, quote unquote, Republican.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what I was going to ask you though was considering Trump is so outrageous, he says you can grab him by the pussy. He can say I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they'll still vote for me. He can say all types. He can disrespect the soldiers and the vets he can just do all these outrageous things that you would think that just people with good ethics would push back and say something. Why do you think the Republicans especially are so quiet in their rebuke of Donald Trump? What is it?
I mean, they voted for him. I think Republicans are they're just very, no matter what Trump does, they're going to stand by him. He can't do no wrong.
But why?
That's the big question. Because when I switch to Fox News, I'll be saying to myself, yo, these people, man, they'll sit there and they'll defend him and they'll know that he's wrong. Yeah. And I'm like, are you serious?
Fox News.
They will defend this dude, Joe.
Man, Fox
knowing that he's wrong, and they'll find reasons to tell you he's right.
Fox News was sued and lost almost $1 billion settlement. Mm-hmm. In the deposition, the testimony from Fox News anchors and talking heads, and they admitted to knowing they were lying. Yeah. They admitted, we know we lying, but it's all entertainment. Mm-hmm. That was their defense. Right. So is it just the benefit of what can happen for us financially? Is it, is it the race issue? Is it really about xenophobia, racism, sexism? Is it I can't go against them because they got something on me? Like your man.
But you know what? I think a lot of them are scared. Because I mean, the way Donald Trump is right now,
Uh-huh.
or he's always been that way. If he doesn't get his way, right, and if you don't follow him, if he gets himself in a position and he can out you, he will. So a lot of them walk thin lines because they don't want to be on his bad side.
Right.
It's like a man that's in power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that you probably hate him, but you're gonna respect him because he's the one in control.
Right.
So you're gonna do what he says, and you're gonna rock with him
Right.
because you don't want to be on his bad side.
You know, I get to
Right?
wondering. Okay.
Now look at the people when Trump became. Look what Trump did when he got back in office again, and the people who went against him, these motherfuckers are scared. You
Right.
know, because I mean he's always out for revenge.
See, it's just looking at this guy from like early, the outlandish, outrageous things he was saying before he got power, before he was elected to his first term. Like he was just doing things and saying things. And you know, you had like the what's the boy's name? Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
All these motherfuckers have said some trife like this
Yeah,
nigga strike.
right. But the minute he got in office, they were straight as an arrow. Like, yes, sir.
Yeah,
He said,
they get smacked around and beat up, and it's like you never said this motherfucker was wilding. Like,
exactly.
I
They know what's up. They know what time it is.
Well, is it the Epstein tapes?
He got something on him.
He got some. I'm saying. I mean, at this point, when we at the brink of World War III.
Because the minute you get on, I mean, you're on. I'm saying you're on Fox News, and then you're being interviewed, and you asking questions about Donald Trump, knowing that whatever they're asking you, right, is right, and you know that it's wrong, but you're going to defend it because if you say something that's against Trump, you become a target. So you have to say shit that's in his favor.
That's scary. That's scary. You know, that's to see this snowball grow in size as it moves down the hill.
No freedom of speech, really.
Shit, freedom of
Basically,
speech.
that's what it is.
Man, this is a very special time in America, man. And I think nothing highlights this more than let me not say nothing because everything this dude does highlights the fact that he's unhinged. But this, his immigration policies and how he's going about snatching people off the street, just how he's handling the tariff situation. It's crazy. Like all of the economic experts tell you that this is only going to result in one thing, and that's a very hard recession, possibly a depression.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chase has already. What's this? Jamie Dimon and those. You know who Jamie Dimon is, right? Yeah. They're already predicting a recession.
Right, and it's like I can remember not too long ago Jamie Dimon caping for Donald Trump. During the campaign, getting closer to the election, he seemed to like really connect himself to Trump and Trump's direction. And now you're going, we're definitely headed for a recession.
I think I think all of them did. All the businessmen, all the big conglomerates, they all sided with Trump because they saw a bigger picture of what they thought it was going to be.
Right.
For the economy and what he could do for businesses.
What does that mean for?
But they didn't expect for this tariff war. They didn't expect that.
No, I mean he campaigned on it. He said he was going to do it during the before the election. And the reason why we know this is because the Ferris Bueller Days Off clip made its rounds, where Ferris Bueller and his comrades sneak out of history class. And the history teacher is talking about the Smoot-Hawley tariff bill that was passed in 1929, which basically pushed the country into the Great Depression. So that's mentioned in that movie. And that that clip was making its rounds when Donald Trump was campaigning on tariffs.
Right.
We were having this discussion with folks left and right. You had, other political activists and commentators going to Trump rallies and asking people about tariffs.
Yeah.
And so he told us what he was going to do.
But you know he did it in his last term. He tested it out in his last term.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some folks say that, there are always tariffs in play.
Mm-hmm.
And that tariffs can be used in a way that, it benefits but not just massive tariffs of 34%, 20%, 10%. Like, it's
no. He did. Yeah, he put this on steroids.
Say it again.
He went on steroids with this one.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like, it seems like you said, we're going to purposely sink the economy. Stocks are going to fall. The ultra rich people who have the resources will come in and buy up those stocks and consolidate more power, have more ownership of more, businesses, more companies, more corporations.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's kind of where we're heading with this whole tariff thing. Yeah, man. So on the lighter side of life, on the lighter side of life, we got Drake dropped a new joint called Nokia.
Mm-hmm.
I think this particular release has made the most positive noise for Drake since Kendrick Lamar put foot and hands on that ass. Feet and hands on that, you know what I mean?
Right, and he's also he's also at war with Universal.
Universal capitulated, settled for $250 million.
I don't think he agreed to it though.
No.
Yeah, he hasn't agreed.
Really?
From what I understand now.
Really?
Yeah, I would. If I was him, I would. I don't blame him.
All right, so
he doesn't. First of all, Drake doesn't need the money. Drake got 250 million. He's like, fuck that.
He got more than that. But
exactly.
But all right, so the battle.
And listen, and the fact that they're settling
in terms of the battle, him suing was whack. Can we agree?
Okay, we know that. But the fact that they're settling tells you that something is wrong there. Tells you that they're hiding something.
Right.
Which can probably benefit the rest of the artists and the producers in the music industry.
You think?
I know.
I don't know. That whole thing is weird to me. That whole thing is crazy weird because Drake's allegations is like, no duh. Like, yeah, of course. Nigga, you benefit from it too, motherfucker. Like, we've been saying the same shit for the last how many years. Like, the music industry.
But I don't know if you've been noticing what's right. I don't know if you've been noticing what's going on though. But a lot of the the Spotify, a lot of these guys, they've been cutting back with their bots.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
so everybody's kind of like straightening up right now. Everybody's straightening up. They're pulling their bots and stuff. So now you're seeing sales drop because of that, or streaming sales drop because of that.
Really?
I think it happened to Kendrick too. Yeah, when they scaled back on some of those bots.
Wow.
Yeah, his streaming sales drop plummeted.
Right. So you said you think that him doing what he's doing, Drake sort of settled, in the long run is going to help artists tremendously.
It depends on what they find. Because if they're settling, that's telling me that there's something that they're hiding that they don't want the rest of the industry to know. And if the Drake settles, that's between Drake and the record company.
Right.
Everybody else doesn't need to know. Now, if Drake takes them to court
and litigates it,
now the books are open. So I don't know how far this is going to go. Maybe they may give him a little bit more money. Or maybe he may just say, hey, you know what? I'll take the 250.
So, all right. So is Drake that powerful for real? Because
Well, I'm saying he's got this company. Listen, he's got this company with Larry Jackson, right?
Big shout out to Larry Jackson.
who's owning all these. What is it? I don't really quite understand that company, but I know they got a hand in a lot of different artists
Yeah.
in terms of ownership,
Mm-hmm.
which makes them powerful. It's almost like a Michael Jackson situation for Drake, you know. In terms of his negotiating power, whatever deal he had on the table before the battle between Drake and Kendrick,
Mm-hmm.
puts him in a position now where um who knows, he can probably get the money that he probably was trying to get at the beginning, and they stopped him because of the situation that happened in the battle. So there's a lot here to uncover that we don't know.
Right. But I want to bring it back to the idea that Drake suing Universal, not settling, getting the details in the public venue, getting it
No,
on record,
I could.
helps independent artists. Like, that's interesting to me.
Mhm,
That because when we clown Drake for even placing the lawsuit. And I
mhm,
think people like yourself, there's some other folks out there who intimated early that this could actually be big for artists if Drake
mhm.
goes through with this. Because we was all clowning the nigga for like, nigga, how you gonna have a lawsuit in the middle of a fucking rap battle? Nigga, what part of the
Right,
game is that?
right.
And
Well,
but
he
in the
didn't. He
in the
didn't. Mhm,
like you said, like the bot shit is like decreasing. If it's
mhm.
opening up the field for independent artists, then Drake becomes the savior, kind of, sort of. No.
Yeah, I think eventually what's going to happen is I think eventually everybody will become their own record company. I think once we realize what's going on with these record companies and shit starts to get unfold,
Mm-hmm.
I think the way the system will start to evolve with artificial intelligence, and I think we will become our own entities. There won't be no We don't have to go to Netflix to, I mean, we still have to do that, but individuals will become their own Netflix. Like you can have your own Netflix platform. I
Right.
can have my own Netflix platform. I could go ahead and stream and do my stuff without having to go to Netflix and put my stuff out, right? Same as an artist having their own record company. Like everybody's going to have their own individual boutique where they
Yes.
don't have to go to companies to do anything,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where we're heading.
Right. Well, I
Mhm,
think not. It's not. We think that's where it's headed, and I
mhm,
think you've been a great example of that, and myself, if I must say,
mhm.
in terms of creating these our own platforms, using technology to create our own home base for people to come do direct consumer.
Right.
Like I have HakeemGreen.com where you can find all of the Mad Ism stuff, merchandise, you know, t-shirts, hats, hoodies, also music.
And I
Come
have, yeah,
come
not.
into my world that I
Mhm.
curate, I maintain, I promote, I market. Um, and then I've been kind of doing the knowledge for the last year about Spotify, Apple, these streaming platforms, how artists are getting jerked so bad, like we're not making any money there. So why do we all put our stuff there? And it's really just to get access to the market. But with technology, you have access to the market without them. Uh,
Mhm.
it's just about creating that space, like you're saying, to be your own record label, your own thing.
Yeah.
And now with Drake in this lawsuit, I guess exposing, the fugaziness of the fucking mainstream music industry kind of pushes independence in the way that we're saying. And for that, it would be the irony is that though he took the beating in the rap battle, he'll end up winning the war, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. He's Jay Z. He's Jay Z.
Jay-Z.
He'll end up, yeah. In the long run, he ends up winning anyway.
Right. But now my other question is any man, especially a black man, although he's Jewish, Judaism is a religion, is not a racial grouping, even though we know race is a fallacy. So that's a whole, but he's still a black man at the end of the day, in my book.
Hmm.
Um, we don't see power moves like that when you're going against a Universal, you're going against a Lucian Grange, you're going against, the movers and shakers of the world. We talked about the tariffs and Trump's rich friends. We're talking about those people. And though Drake has a lot of money, I would gather he's not that yet. Maybe he will be. But is he that right now? I don't know if he's that. And is he that powerful to push Universal to expose themselves?
Well, the thing is, it's out in the open. So it's exposed. So you can't hide it. You know, this is something Michael Jackson had tried. But when he did it, but when he did it, but when he did it, it wasn't exposed. We didn't quite understand what was going on. So they had enough time to say, let's make a mockery out of this guy. Let's make the public think he's insane, and we're going to use the media to destroy him. Right? Drake, on the other hand, that's not happening with him. He was able to use the media to expose the record companies to show that what they was happening. Michael Jackson didn't have that. Right? So now everybody knows about this. Everybody's talking about it. So it's a little different.
So the song Nokia, do you like it? You feel it? Did it move?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Yeah. I mean, you know, he did something different. What I appreciate about Drake is the fact that he pushed the envelope. He's doing, you know, he put out a video in IMAX. Did you realize that? That's an IMAX video.
Wow. Okay.
That's like some Michael Jackson shit. That's something Michael Jackson would have done.
It's push the envelope, innovation.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So now what that does is it opens up the door for the next rapper to come out with some IMAX video, right?
Right.
So, you know, that interacts with what do you call that? The next technologies that come out with the Google with them Google glasses or whatever you call them, things that you can see stuff in IMAX, whatever it is. It puts you ahead of the game for being being in the head of technology, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so that's a way to look at it. See, me hearing the song off rip, you know, I heard it once. I didn't really dig into it. It didn't jump out and grab me. It wasn't like, oh my God, he came back. It wasn't that for me. But you know, in all fairness, you know, most of the stuff, you know, I don't get that feeling.
Yeah. I think what he did was he continued to do what he normally does. Like he partnered up with 21 Savage. So the kind of music that everybody loved that he was doing while he was winning, he just continued to do it. And it's not really for us to understand, but his fans, they love it. You know? Right. And then you got the Kendrick fans who said, you know what, we're not fucking with him. We still fucking with Kendrick.
Right. So, you know, I was having a conversation earlier with Vita about this. And you know, it feels like the environment for how we digest music is changing. Definitely tech is a big part of it. But I was also thinking about message-oriented music because we're in the times that we're in, and there's so much going on politically, culturally, you know, socially, that the masses of people want more. We're always going to party. There's always going to be dance music. We're always going to want to, you know, escape the bullshit, escape the stress. But there was a period of time where that's all there was the escape. And, you know, it's just like you said, Kendrick fans are Kendrick fans. I think that Kendrick fan base is probably much, much larger than it was prior to the beef.
So here's the new thing in hip hop that we didn't have. Subliminal messages. Everything is subliminal message. That's the new thing. Not even with the Drake album, everybody's checking for subliminal messages. So did you hear what he said about Kendrick? You know, he's kind of like dissing him, like a subliminal diss, like he's saying that. So this is a new thing out right now. This is like some new shit for like this generation. Now you got to decipher what they're saying in their rhymes.
That's dope. You know, that's dope because, you know, we big on that. Our shit is, you know, the metaphor similes, double entendres, peeling back.
They took the shit to another level.
They took it to another level. They really did. I agree with you on that 1,000%. And that's
that's their version. That's their version of how the rewind the tape. Yo, did you hear what he said? Yo, rewind that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Rewinding the Rakims and the G-Raz just so you could try to figure out what they were saying back then.
Right. And you know what? That's the creative part of lyricism that I'm into, that I appreciate, and I'm glad that these cats is bringing it back like that. You know, it's different for my ear, but it's still like that. That's what the hip hop shit that I fuck with is about. That. So big shout out to them for that. Yeah, what else we got on the schedule, Vita? Big shout out to Vita. She making it a go. She putting it all together for us. She's chefing it up.
Jamel, what you got?
Well, what you want us to say? There we go.
Okay.
Damn. Yo, so the brother Ron Lawrence for the last week or so has been providing us with AI created photos.
Yeah.
Of the true school.
That's right. Vintage. Yeah.
The early beginnings of the culture. And when I saw it in our text thread, I immediately thought of Jamel Shabazz.
Yeah. But we got Vita. Let's see some more.
If you guys don't know Jamel,
that's the old school players right there. This is okay. What we're seeing. Okay. All right. Yeah. This is that's 70s. That's Superfly era. The Pimp, the Hustler, Harlem.
Yeah.
Your rolls in the back.
Got the Gabardine, Swedish Knits.
Okay, that.
And all of these are AI, artificially intelligent created, right?
Yes.
Artificially created. Okay.
Yep. Not real at all.
Nah, man, but it's so on point. Because like this particular picture, this is 80s right here.
Go straight up.
This might be 85, 84, 85.
Straight up.
Kango hats.
Kango.
You know, you got the boom box.
The boom box.
You know, Park Jam.
Park Jam fly on the wall, the graffiti in the back.
Yeah, that takes you right back.
Yes.
That's
you see the telephone, see the payphone in the back? Ooh. Come on, man. You got the payphone.
Got the payphone in the back. These young cats know nothing about a payphone.
Yeah, nothing about it.
Before the cell phone. This is before the iPhone and Android and all that shit. It's before T-Mobile, Sprint, all that shit.
Yeah.
This is where when you say dropping a dime, that's when you drop
Exactly. Now, in order to get these kind of images, you have to be able to understand prompts. Being able to feed the AI system with the various softwares, you tell them what you're looking for. But it's all about knowing how to put words together and then just finding the right information to bring that stuff to life. You know what I'm saying? So this is like a new form of art. It's different, but it's something new. And it can be very addictive, because it definitely brings you to the past. And that's why I like it.
Yeah. It brings you to the past, but it still looks new.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I think the younger generations would find this captivating because they get to see their parents and their grandparents in a way that, an old school Polaroid is just not going to capture it,
Right. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
I got some joint. Yeah. I got some joint of the for the FOIs too. I gotta shoot that to you on a side note so you can see that.
What else you got, Vita? I know you got some more images on deck. No?
Yeah, Vita Shava, I sent her a handful of that stuff. Yeah, so this is a good way to infuse the old with the new.
Yeah.
So old school is new school is old school, new school rules. Good to reflect on old school and good to where we are right now, reflecting on it and then bringing it back into full circle is what's important.
Yeah, so we say old school rules, new school tools.
That's right.
Using the new school tools to access.
What else you got, V?
Yo, we need everybody out there to go to osnsr.com, hit up the website, like, subscribe to the YouTube page if you're on YouTube. Make sure you go follow us over at Old School New School Rules on IG or Facebook. Stay tapped in, stay tuned in. Make sure Vita puts that information up on the screen so you guys could jot it down and stay locked in. But yeah, we got more to talk about. I just want to give that little station identification. Big shout out to the 30th anniversary of station identification by the phenomenal hip hop group Channel Live, no doubt.
Yeah.
Had a little plug there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what else you got, V?
That's it. We got something else. What else we got to talk about? Got to be something. Well, I'm gonna look at your email because
I was expecting to see a few more picks.
Elon, yeah, we talked about Trump and Elon.
Yeah.
Elon's taking a beating. He's losing crazy money. They want him off the board of Tesla, saying he's a.
But he's also leaving Doge too. Did you know that? He's stepping down.
Yeah, he's stepping down. Yeah, he's stepping down. And I'm hearing that there's legislation being put together to basically dissolve Doge as well. So
really?
Yeah, but the Republicans still control the House and the Senate.
Yeah, that was a big disaster for them, if you ask me. I mean, it was a disaster for him. He's probably stepping down. It's because it's hurting his business.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you saw the big protest they had over the weekend. Ridiculous.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. You talking about millions of people across the country protesting all at the same time, and the word on the street is that black people wasn't there.
Yeah,
but black people been saying, huh?
We knew that was going to happen. Then he knew it was going to happen too. It was nothing different.
What do you mean?
Like he knew they were going to come out to protest. It was a given. You knew the protesters were going to come out.
Right, but the protesters that came out, the protesters that hit the streets weren't the usual suspects. These were like, white, middle class people. These weren't. This wasn't Black Lives Matter. This wasn't. It wasn't us.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the word was that it was very obvious that black people in mass weren't a part of things. And I've saw some commentary on the internet as well as one white woman was basically saying that, hey, black people have been putting in work for years and years and years and years, and they're saying to us it's up for white people to stand up for this country.
But do you remember when all the protests was going on when Trump first came in office the first time? The whole Black Lives Matter movement. There was whites that were out there protesting on TV. You remember that?
No. Let me I've been protesting.
They were out there wrecking shit, breaking shit, putting shit on fire.
Right.
Yeah, that wasn't us.
Well, but the masses of people that came out, it was us kind of leading the charge. So, I've been in the protest activist movement 35, 40 years. There's always white comrades locked arms, like always. It's never, quote unquote, all black. However, the driving force, the organizing, the motivation behind it is black organizations on the ground making it go, and then white organizations coming on to support. This particular march, this was about white people going, nah, this ain't it. We need something different. This is not what we wanted. In mass, and of course, it was all white. There was black people there. There was, brown people there. There was all people there. But the driving force was middle class, working class, white people going, this ain't it. And that's something that's different, I think. Right. I don't know if that was expected. There was no police presence at all, and that was kind of part of the conversation, was that it showed that when black people peacefully protest, cops are there to antagonize them and cause violence. Whereas you had all these protests, millions of people came out, no incidents of violence, police were like really not even there. Right. Why? Because these is white people. They're not gonna smash on their own people. Right. They're way more quicker to smash on us and then blame us for it. Right. And that's unfortunate. That's kind of whack. Right. Also, in terms of how we can, push back as a nation, everybody's going, well, excuse me, Kamala Harris said the other day, I hate to tell, I say I told you so, but I told you so. And people are going, she shouldn't have said that, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. And I'm like, well, what you wanted to do? Like, she hasn't been empowered to do anything. And the Democrats, there's a lot more, I guess, they can be doing, but are they empowered to do anything? All that said, the midterms, 2026 midterms, very important. But in this last election, the Democrats caught a win in that the 2025 Wisconsin Supreme Court election was a pivotal political event with significant implications for both state and national politics, particularly for the Republican Party and the Trump administration. Susan Crawford, a liberal Democrat, defeated Brad Schimmel, conservative Republican, backed by 10 percentage points, 55% to 45%. The victory maintains a 4-3 liberal majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, likely until at least 2028. Over $100 million was spent, making it the most expensive judicial race in U.S. history. High voter turnout, nearly 2 million votes were cast, comparable to midterm election levels and 40% higher than the 2023 Supreme Court election. Now, we talk about, Wisconsin. Of course, there are always black enclaves in every state, but Wisconsin is a white state. These are white people who are upset with him, and these are white people who have the power to shift the power, shift government from Republicans to the Democrats. Just wanted to throw that out there. You look disinterested and bored. Let me ask you this. What you think about Cory Booker? 25 hours.
Well, he's broken the record.
Right.
Yeah. So they're saying that he's looks like he could be the leading man for next presidential campaign. So and it's giving the Democrats some hope. That's what they're saying.
Cory Booker's my cousin, right?
Shit, y'all niggas look alike.
Yeah. So it's complicated. New Jersey native, senator from New Jersey. He was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey before the current mayor, Ras Baraka.
What was his purpose? What was his purpose for breaking the record?
Well,
because he did break a record.
So Strom Thurmond is the person who set the record.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what year that was, but Strom Thurmond was a South
Carolina. Like in the 50s or something like that. It was a long time ago, right?
I think it might be in the 40s.
Yeah.
40s or the 50s.
So he actually stood up for like 25 hours straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just.
But,
and they said other people have tried it too.
Yeah,
so
but you know what, though? That was dope. That was, let me just applaud Cory Booker, applaud Cory Booker for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's other things, though. That.
Yeah.
Right. But we do that every year, 24 hours apiece in Newark, New Jersey. Every year since 2010, for 24 hours straight, 6 p.m. on Friday to 6 p.m. on Saturday, we out there. And Hakeem Green is out there for 24 hours straight. Every year, out here, pushing of unity, safely having fun. This year's event, September 5th, September 6th, Central Avenue between South 10th and West Market. We're going to be out there. Stay tuned. More information at you on my social media pages across all networks, of course. Right. I just want to put that out there. And we do that every single year, pushing peace, love, unity, safely having fun. Now, he did it, of course, as a pushback and a protest to this current administration and all that's going on with Donald Trump. Now, what made it special, one of the things that made it special was that he did it to unify, quote unquote, unify people. Strom Thurmond, who set the record, did it as a protest against civil rights legislation that was being passed at the time. Mm-hmm. So you had a segregationist, racist senator from South Carolina who set the record standing up against civil rights, and to have Cory Booker stand up in a protest in hopes to unify people, that's kind of
it's the opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah, coming back full circle. Yeah.
Thank you.
50, 60 years later.
Right. Right. So, that's that was powerful.
Well,
It
like
was
80 years, yeah.
it was powerful. But I would like to add, um, you know, I think Dr. Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Uh-huh.
And what's going on in Palestine is sick. It's horrific. It's inexcusable. And, politicians, Republican or Democrat, signing on to that, it in a way nullifies justice here. So it's interesting that we call for justice for ourselves when we don't look to extend that same justice to other people around the world. And
Uh-huh.
I just, we create our own obstacles to achieve the goals that we claim we want. And so I just wanted to put that out there. I think what's going on in Palestine is history's not going to look well at
Uh-huh.
what's going on, and we don't pay attention. There's a lot to pay attention to here, and reason why, but man, it's bad over there, and any and all politicians that co-sign that, I think need to be questioned.
Right.
Put that out there. So, because I know how you feel about them.
What you talking about, Willis?
I think Ye can speak for you and a lot of.
Nah, you better stop that shit.
Yeah, I'm saying. Any updates on Ye? He do anything in the last week you need to talk about? We're gonna leave him alone this week.
Yeah, we could talk about Ye. We could talk about him.
I mean,
That last interview he had.
I don't necessarily want to troll Kanye West. I don't want to be a troll. I don't want to do that. It's kind of hard because he gives us a lot of content. He gives us material left and right.
Uh-huh.
Can't go on for days, but I just wish him the best and in all that he does, and want to see the brother win.
Right.
Just be better. Just be better. Just be better. Yeah, man. So what was that? That's an hour. It's 10 o'clock.
Yep.
We good?
We good.
We good? Hey Vita, we good?
Hey, Vita, do me a favor. Can we showcase some more of those pictures? Let's close out with some entertainment. Let's go.
Right, because this is old school, new school rules, right? And the reason why we named it that is because this is about building bridges between generations.
Right.
It's about building bridges. So yeah, we're gonna have the old school conversation, talking about the true school, and we're gonna reminisce and all that, But we also want to bring that new school flavor, new school tools. Technology enables us to do so much. So we want to talk about all of that, and we want to highlight some of the innovators, the younger innovators who are driving our culture to a better place. We talked about the Drake Kendrick battle and how that kind of sparked this whole wave of digging in the rhymes and finding the hidden meanings. And we want to highlight that type of activity from our young people, folks who are pushing the culture forward for real.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Ooh, that's hot.
Yeah, that's the old school pimp right there. That's Harlem.
Maybe he wasn't
maybe
he was a doctor, bro.
See that Rolls Royce in the back?
Maybe
he could have been. He could have been pimp doctor.
Maybe he was a lawyer. Maybe he was a
exactly. There you go.
I mean,
or realtor or a real estate agent.
A real estate agent, right?
Yeah.
Right. He had the roles. Everything we do fly. So
that's right.
We fly in any and everything that we do. We don't always have to be pimping and hoeing and
Exactly. Just showing the time when we was getting money. Still getting money today, but yeah, just comparing this to music production and in doing this, it's it's about having the skill to be able to when you're dealing with sampling, you deal with artificial intelligence, you're dealing with sampling also in a sense, because you're taking bits and pieces of something that already exists and then you make it into something new. Right. So when you dive into softwares like ChatGPT and Midjourney, You can come up with something nice and something creative that you can make your own. As we know, a lot of this stuff, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly how it's done, but when you're dealing with a lot of data, right? Just data that's being compiled, and how the computers takes all this information and it jumbles it up, and then just able to just pull it out and to create something new. That shit is phenomenal, man. When you think about how it works, they call it there's a word for it, um deep learning and machine learning. So that's a whole other aspect to it. You know about that, right, Hakeem?
I'm learning through you right now. You put me on.
Yeah, yeah. So that deep learning and machine learning, that's like the back end of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Abdur, who produced, he and Norris from Turtle Gang produced the video for me, Don't Sell Your Ass, and it's done in AI. Um, so that was like the first time, I worked on a project where AI was the thing. I didn't do it. I had somebody do it for me. I see AI taking over. I definitely subscribe to your philosophy. You got to use it. You got to jump on board and figure out how to incorporate in what you're doing so you don't get left out. My question is, should there be rules to the game? No pun
Yeah,
intended.
yeah.
Because we were having a conversation earlier about how, they can use AI now to make all AI artists. Like, it'll be nothing but AI artists. And, if you control the platform, you get to decide ranking, you get to decide what's heard, you get to filter out things that you don't control. Right. And that's my concern, is that you can literally make real human beings obsolete.
Hmm.
A human artist is obsolete, or can become obsolete in their world. That's the catch. In that world, outside of their world, we still can, communicate and build with each other out. But once we go in their world, they control it.
Yeah, but and it goes farther than music too. I mean, Bill Gates was just saying the other day that he believes that in 10 years that a lot of doctors and teachers will be obsolete because
Mhm.
of AI. So this is going to take a lot of jobs, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and how do we protect people from that? Or can we?
I think it's really, you have to be on the opposite end. I think if it's going to take a doctor's job, I think the doctor needs to be on the opposite end
Mhm.
of controlling AI to do the job for him, right? This way he stays in the job, he stays in position.
Right. But I guess I still eliminate. I don't need, a team of five.
Hmm.
Myself as a doctor, now I just need myself and maybe one other person, because
Right.
AI is doing so many other things. So, you know, those workers, that labor, what happens to them? Is that a
Hmm.
job that's just totally eliminated now? Because you see what I'm saying? Like, then you'd have to be a doctor, and then you have a bunch of doctors competing for the, like, now you got too many doctors, because I don't know. It's just, how do we integrate AI in a way where we don't set the human race back?
How do you integrate AI so you don't set the human race back?
Like, for instance,
Yeah, yeah, I understand your question. I think the only way we can do it is we have to assimilate ourselves. I mean, because it's not like that you can stop it. Technology always gets greater and greater and greater. Just go back 100 years, a little bit more than 100 years, and just think about when electricity came around. That became a threat to everybody. It became a threat to um, farmers. It became a threat to anybody who didn't use electricity. Okay, so it pretty much changed the game, which meant that you had to jump on the bandwagon and had to try to figure out what can I do with electricity in order for me to prosper and hang out, right? So instead of using a plow, now I got to use a tractor trailer. So that means I need to learn how to drive.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
So
technology, the goal of technology is make things easier, make things simpler, more efficient, quote unquote.
right, right.
Right, right. But everybody can't go though.
Yeah,
That's it's the nature of it. Everybody can't go. Everybody's not gonna get it.
right. Everybody's not. So what happens is the younger generation that come in, they're the ones that they're the driving force of it. So I look to like my sons, I look to what they're doing so I can kind of stay above, so I can stay ahead of the game. So when I see them doing, I used to laugh with my kids. They used to work on Minecraft. I was like, why are you playing with that stuff? They was using there were a lot of what is it? Minecraft has a what do you call it? The damn shit. There's a piece that goes with Minecraft that they used to communicate with that everybody's using now. But they were using this with Minecraft. Now everybody's using it, you know? So whatever the younger generation uses, it moves with them. And by the time they're 50, 60 years old, whatever they was doing when they was 15 to 19 years old, they're doing it in their 50s.
Yeah.
Okay. So that becomes part of their world. So and then we look at it as how do we assimilate so we don't get lost or left out of it? Because we're growing with our technology. And as we go with our technology, we start to get stale and old because that shit gets played out. We came in with the .com era, right? And that was our generation. The older generation, they didn't understand that. They didn't want to get involved with that. They left that alone. So it was to them, it was like Japanese.
Yeah.
Right? Our generation, we came in with the Facebook era. That was our thing. Facebook, right? The younger generation, they gravitated to TikTok. And I was a late bloomer to Instagram because I was on Facebook. I was on MySpace and Facebook. Right? But now Instagram became the thing, but that was something that they gravitated to first before we did. TikTok is their thing.
Definitely. But like there's a big thing with the port, the docks. The Chinese, all of their ports are totally AI run.
That's
Everything.
crazy.
There's like maybe 3 people. You talking about a space like 3-4 football fields. Nah, more bigger than that. With like the big what do you call it? The fucking the big you ship things in, the big canisters, the big, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And it's
Yeah,
it's like just forever. It's like if you just use human beings, you'd probably need 300-400 humans
right.
to operate and manage this space. Now it's like 2-3 people walking around. Everything's done in AI.
Right. So now the platform I was trying to think of was Discord.
Okay.
My son put me on the Discord years ago because they were using that to play video games. They were playing their like video games online with their friends, and they were using Discord. And my son was like, "Yeah, you need to get on this, Dad, so we can play video games together." I was like, "What's that?" Right? And then they were using Minecraft and all this stuff. Now everybody's using, like, if you want to get with AI now, Discord is the thing.
Really?
That's something that they're using. But as an older person, you got to get with Discord if you want to know what's going on.
I thought Discord was like just like WhatsApp or like a Signal. What was the other one?
It's like a bridge, pretty much, to like,
Because I had Discord. I had a Discord account, but I just never used it.
I mean, you need it for Midjourney. You need it for AI.
Really?
That's the platform, yeah. For AI, it's the Midjourney. I mean, for Midjourney, it's Discord. It's crazy. But yeah, but getting back to, you were talking about the I remember a couple of years ago, um, in Japan. This was like in the like 2015, when they were using their cell phones and stuff to go through turnstiles and stuff like that. They was like, yeah, you can use your cell phone and you can walk to the store and you can use your cell phone and you can buy something. And
What
I'm
happened?
thinking like, yo, that shit is wild. And now we're doing that,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But that was far fetched 10 years ago to just see that they were doing that in Japan back then. They were walking into
Right.
they were walking into supermarkets with their cell phone and buying stuff with no money. And there was no money. There was no cashiers and nothing. You just walk into a store
Mm-hmm.
with nobody. It's just stuff was just on like in shelves and stuff like that, right? But you can't just walk out with it. You'd have to use your cell phone, and then you could just like boop boop boop, and then just walk out. They have that in the airports now, by the way.
Yeah,
You
no,
just
yep, yep, absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah.
But in '97, we went to Tokyo, Channel Live, went to Tokyo, and they had camera phones then. They had mobile phones with cameras on them.
It's crazy. Yeah.
At '97. Blew my mind. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mhm.
We didn't touch down with that till when what time I went? 2000. When was the first iPhone?
05, 06 maybe. Yeah. I remember they had high definition TV in the 90s in Japan.
Yeah.
They had that shit in the 90s.
America, the USA is kind of like way far behind.
Yeah.
China is kicking our ass. Like everything runs on AI in China. And, society's integrated in a way that's very controlling.
Right. So now the question is, how do you incorporate AI into hip hop without falling behind? Like, how do you do this? If you know that there could be a rapper or an artist that's not an artist that can rhyme just as good as you, that can do all these things, and it's not
Bro,
an actual human being, and then this bot doesn't have, you don't have to pay this bot royalties, nothing. It's just it's not a bot. I'm just saying it's like artificial intelligence. Like, how do you battle against that?
Hold on. Did you see the rap battle between the human being, the dude?
Yes. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. I guess the way you do it is you gotta find one of your own and maybe write the rhymes for them or whatever, and you create that one yourself. Is that how you do it?
No. I would think that
How do you do it?
You create a world. You create the world. You create the world, the artificial intelligence world, where the characters in the world are your created characters, and then they have specific rhyme styles. They have specific content they rhyme about. They have so it's like you create a movie in AI, right? But the MCs, I create the MC. I create through prompts, create the personality, the characteristics, the style, the whoop-de-woo-woo. And then I could tell a whole fucking story using rappers. That's me creating not necessarily the rap itself, but the environment in which the rap is created.
You know what it is, though, also? What makes you great is how good your prompts are.
How good your prompts are.
So the better rapper is the ones with the better prompts. Oh, and no matter what you do in AI is how great your prompts are.
Right. Now, how you prompt will determine how hip hop you are.
Exactly. So your prompt becomes your rhyme skills.
Right.
So in anything you do.
Everything you do.
Yeah. So if your prompts are great, your beats are great.
So
check it. If your prompts are great, your beats are great. If your prompts are great, your rhymes are great.
Right.
If your prompts are great, your pictures are great. If your prompts are great, you control your destiny.
Right.
So who has the better prompts? So that's who's gonna win.
Yeah.
Now that you gonna look at the artist, it's like, yo, that nigga's prompts is ill.
I'm the prompt master.
Exactly. He's the Eminem of the prompts.
Prompt master, nigga. Grandmaster Prompt G, nigga. The fuck, nigga. I'll prompt the shit out this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm telling you, niggas gonna be walking around. Yo, that nigga got the illest prompts.
Yo,
He's gonna be revered for the nigga who got the ill prompts.
Absolutely, because hip hop ain't what you do; it's how you do it. So hip hop is a feeling, it's an energy.
Mm-hmm.
So Vita just put up those images, hip hop dripping all on them niggas.
Yeah,
like, if you was there,
but you gotta feel it. You gotta know, right? So with these with these prompts, creating these prompts, I wish Vita could show more of the images. She only showed like one or two. She's holding back, but I want her to show more so I can speak about it. But with these prompts, it's knowing, it's understanding, and being somewhere that you've experienced. Let's see another picture. We keep seeing the same picture, Vita. Something that you've experienced growing up and knowing and understanding to be able to create these prompts, right?
that one.
We've seen that one too. But to be able to recreate the prompts, meaning that you had to be able to say, okay, I've experienced it. I know how to create the prompt because I understand that language and I understand that lifestyle because I've witnessed it and I've lived around it and I was in there for that era. Does that make any sense?
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm right with you.
Now I wasn't around for this era, but
we wasn't. Well, you a little bit older than me. Not to put you out like that, but this is probably what 70.
That's like 72, 73. That's black exploitation. Yeah, that's more like the pimp era. That's like Nicky Barnes.
4 years old.
Yeah, that's Nicky Barnes. That's the Hustler. That's the Harlem Dudes.
Yeah.
Getting money.
Goldie, nigga. Max Julian, nigga.
Vita, let's see some more.
Superfly.
Yep, Superfly.
That motherfucking John Shaft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. See the plaids, you see the.
Yeah, man. You got the blazer under the joint.
Uh-huh.
You got the brim, 3-piece suit out this fur joint. You got a mock neck under that fur. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
The bell bottoms.
Yeah.
Bell bottoms was an ill era.
That's the ill era, yeah. Yeah, okay, well, I guess we could wrap up then.
I think she probably trying to upload it.
No, she said she only got 4. I thought I sent her a lot more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
as a matter of fact, I did. I had sent you guys a lot through
text.
Group text. Yeah, I sent her quite a few. And she may not have downloaded them, but it's all good.
It's all good. Well, listen, man, this was dope. This is our second show of OSNSR, Old School, New School Rules, the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be right back at you next week, Monday night at 9 p.m. We want to remind everybody, check out the website.
Always a pleasure.
We want to remind everybody, check out the website, osnsr.com. And hit us up on all platforms, Old School, New School Rules.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
Check it out.
Check it out. All right, party people, we out of here. Peace, everybody.
Peace.